It's time for another animal drop. It is the next week and we have some new animals this week. And I heard all of your concerns in the last couple of weeks. Also, I checked a couple other videos and there is forming a certain worry in the community. I'll get to that at the end of the video. But if my calculations are correct, we have 6 more weeks of animal drops upcoming. We are averaging at about 8 animals per drop, plus maybe 1 animal more per week for a feature focus of some sort. We have already seen the announcement that on Thursday on Gamescom there's going to be an exclusive reveal kind of thing with Xbox. So that means this week we are already counting, if I'm not completely wrong with my math over here, 8 at this video, and maybe a 9th this week. So that would mean we are getting over 50 animals more after today's drop. Again, we'll get through the animals and let me talk about the situation later on, but I think there's some justified worry in here we are getting to. But we're starting obviously with the Eurasian beaver, which is something we haven't seen. We have seen already in the Wildlife Reserve, Northern Scotland kind of reserve. We've seen that one with a lot of new animations, and I dig this picture over here. The lighting, everything just like immediately strikes like a wonderful picture. There is something special in this picture, by the way, and this is the paw on that what is that, log or branch or whatnot. So I mean that is a very encouraging look at it. I have something in mind. It's so hard to say. I really doubt this. Okay, take that with a incredible amount of salt. But how cool would it be if they would actually drag like some branches and stuff through the water to like actually build a dam? I mean, the enrichment item we had in the first game was kind of cool, wasn't it? But it's been a bit weird, wasn't it? So I really like the idea of it being carrying around some logs, or at least have like an enrichment item, like a log that they just keep carrying through the area that they have in their snout and like on their paws or whatnot. That would be really cool, just to see them interact with the environment a little more, which would also mean we'll get some branches that have actual physics on the water. I'm all in for that, you know. But let's go on with the other animals in here. The next one is the cloudless sulfur, and again, I don't really think I have much to say about this other than I want to know how exhibits work. At this point, this is like, it's also fine if on Thursday we do not get another animal, but we get finally news on exhibits. We have to talk about exhibits at the end of the video as well. It's going to be a bit of a longer one today because I need to go to these 2 topics. They are rather important. But yeah, let's go to the next one. Very easily set up. It's a Nile monitor, another returning animal. It's a fantastic photo. It's a fantastic reflection in the water. I love it. But is it really much to say other than that this model has been massively improved over the first game? Looks fantastic. I'm a big fan of this animal in general. Like, it's a very good addition. Reptiles always welcome, so really appreciative of that one. Now, next one, and that one is exciting. For me personally, this is the most exciting of this week. This is the Sunda pangolin, and this is an animal we haven't had in the first game at all. We had the Chinese pangolin, however, we didn't have really a pangolin that can climb or whatnot. And that one, for several reasons, this photo is interesting. So, number one, it's obviously on a branch, and the positioning of the paws and the limbs and stuff like that of these animals on logs and with logs and the nature, they are incredibly encouraging. I don't know what Frontier has cooked over here, but it looks increasingly likely that they have really solved the big riddle of the movement on existing or maybe future elements you place in habitats. It also looks like almost like that this thing is 2 logs in one, or maybe that looks almost like a area where 2 logs are merged into each other. Nonetheless, it looks really cool. And the second thing that obviously is striking is that this photo is taken with a flashlight obviously on, which proves yet again that we may have either nocturnal houses or this is actually at nighttime. However, I would even say this is a night house because what the image is lacking is the kind of typical moonlight. You know, the moonlight is the light that would technically cast some shadows and stuff, and this is another one of these images where we don't really have shadows other than on the animal itself. Behind that head over here, there's that little shadow forming, which would make sense because the animals do interact with light a little bit differently than their environment does. But the rest of it doesn't really, like, there's no shadow as you can see on the branch or whatnot. However, that kind of, it gives me hope that we have proper night houses, and it makes sense that indoors would get fully dark, just like in Planet Coaster 2. So, you know, I think there's justified hope that this is gonna work. But very interesting, and I love the model. The model is really cool. Really love that. Really, really, really nice model. Next one, another very much improved model, extremely more high res in this specific case, and that is the giant tiger land snail. You know, it's just like a giant snail. Looks really cool. It's another exhibit animal, and there's another one lurking here to the side. Whoops, that was not meant to be. I'm just like, there's another one lurking to the left hand side. Yeah, it's a snail, isn't it? Then we have a really cool fish. I mean that by, you know, I really mean that. It's looking really cool. That is the siphon snapper, I think it is how it's pronounced. Yeah, it's a very clean photo, isn't it? It's a very clean photo. I cannot wait. This is gonna look so good. It's gonna look so good. Then we also have another really cool fish, and again, that's just what I mean. I have no idea of these fish, never heard of them, but they look funky and they look cool, and that is the clown triggerfish, and it does trigger something in me. It looks really cool. I have no idea if both of them are hero fish or not. I think that one might be a skullfish. Hold on, there might actually be, I can double check later on. There is, I have the Zoopedia images with me, what they do say, but I could have checked out before. But I think this one at least is a hero fish. Or both of them are just like really cool, aren't they? Love also the background image of this one, just really cool. And the last on our list today is a surprisingly great looking animal, even though I am also surprised of having yet another wildebeest. That is not the blue wildebeest, that is the black wildebeest. And it looks phenomenal. It looks really damn good. Man, what a model that is. What a model that is. However, let's quickly double check. All right, I quickly double checked, and that wonderful fish over here is most likely going to be a hero fish, because I double checked the Zoopedia and it says that this is a mostly solitary fish and does not come in groups. However, the other one I cannot 100% say. It does say it is sometimes found in small schools or relatively small groups around some corals, or also individual. So it might be either or, even though I would suspect that one is coming as a hero fish. I mean, how it's looking is really cool, that you can then keep in larger groups, if that makes sense. So I promised we have to talk about certain things, and for that we do have some of the pictures. I'm just gonna keep looking at that pangolin because it's just looking like a really wonderful thing. I want to quickly talk about the concerns, and the people have been getting increasingly worried about the amount of birds we get in the game in comparison to all the other animals. And I don't want to directly touch upon that. I want to go a little bit more into the overall status. So we already have quite a significant number of animals. There are just a few animals that we know of that exist already that haven't been added to the Zoopedia. There are a couple of, from some videos, there are still a couple of animals that haven't been added, or some animal signs we saw in some of the stuff, like, for example, I think it was the Asian animal that also had a sign in some of the videos or not. I'm not entirely sure, but there are a couple of animals that are most likely confirmed that I haven't made it. But we're just talking 4 to 5 animals. That still leaves us with over 50 animals as in the typical drops, and like most likely in all other games, like they did also with Jurassic World Evolution 3, there is still even more so animals that would drop in with the full release. So that means we are looking at a significantly higher number for release. We are already almost surpassing the release number of animals for Planet Zoo 1, which kind of makes sense because we added 2 complete new areas with full aquatic and aviaries, and like birds in general. However, I do get the concerns, because we already have quite a lot of fish and quite a lot of hero animals, including zoo favorites for fish and aquatic species. We don't really know much of like cohabitation and semi-aquatics. I mean, we do have a lot of semi-aquatics. We're still lacking some of the otters, for example, and all these kind of things. I genuinely do think we are getting to see some of those as well. We've just seen the beaver in this drop over here, obviously, which is a semi-aquatic one. And I am rather sure that we will get a really cool combination. So I'm very positively surprised how many old animals from either DLCs or base game they have already added to this game, plus all the new stuff from especially aquatics. But also they have added a lot of really cool stuff for the exhibits, in my opinion. However, that would be cool if the mechanics have been much improved. If they, and don't worry, I'll get to the birds kind of thing. If they haven't, then these kind of things would be super disappointing, the exhibits especially. I have a certain feeling that the overhaul of exhibits is directly connected to the lack of birds. And that is, and you just have to trust me on that one. I know it's kind of hard after all these embargoes and stuff I had to stick to. So you just have to believe me when I tell you I have no further idea. I know of a couple of things that we have discussed in terms of the feedback we gave. So yes, there is still a lot of stuff I kind of have an idea about, just to be fully transparent with you. But in this specific case, I have absolutely zero information on exhibits, which kind of drives me nuts and annoys me, frankly, quite a lot. But I also have no idea on birds. But my inner Sherlock, the camel Sherlock, tells me that there is a direct connection. And here's to why. Like, we already had the walkthrough exhibit kind of thing at the very end of life stages of Planet 1 as kind of an excuse for bringing in some sort of flying species, just like the butterflies, for example. And I do say that because we do have the butterfly, one of those, in this drop again. So we know that a certain exhibit like that would need to exist in order to bring them in. So I do believe that there is, next to these really cool avian species we've seen, there is also a bunch of birds that I would technically see in smaller habitats. And that is exactly the thing. All of the aviaries we've seen so far have been rather spacious and extent, so rather big. They always gave them a lot of space, which could either mean that this is just because they focus so much on conservation, or the system, to make them really fly nicely, requires a certain space, which in hindsight would mean that smaller animals like hummingbirds, for example, or smaller parrots and all these kind of things, they would kind of seem lost in a huge habitat like that. But a lot of favorite zoo animals and bird houses and all these kind of things in zoos feature smaller birds as well, and they would add to the roster, similar to what schools do to kind of aquatic animals, right? And I feel like this could be a solution to our bird system or bird problem we have right now. So imagine we've just seen the hero animals so far from birds, and we are getting quite a lot of, well, I don't want to call them like anything less, but like the equivalent to schools, like some walkthrough exhibit birds with a way better animation than everything we've seen in these walkthrough exhibits. I have a feeling that this could be a solution, and if not, Frontier, please take that idea and realize that in less than 1.5 months. I'm just kidding, but see, this is why I'm generally not as concerned right now. But I am. I see your concerns, and I do share them in a way. I do think that the roster, especially for birds, is shockingly small at this point. And next week, as far as I know from the images we've been provided with, for next week there's only one more or even two more maybe, in the boxes we've seen. I mean, we don't see all of the boxes every single time. There is still, we just see 3 to 4, 5, 6 boxes, and then it's 8, 9, 10 animals being dropped in next week. So there's chances we get more than 1 or 2 birds next week as well. But chances are not too high. So that is topic number 1. Topic number 2, exhibits, is, as you've heard, kind of connected to that. At this point, I really need them to have a huge overhaul. And you know why? This is not because of the bird situation per se, it's more because of the amount of exhibit animals we already have been shown now. Because if this is not massively improved, and we're also talking about smaller aquariums that would be able to house some of the school animals as individuals, and we've already seen some hints in the Zoopedia that some of the school fish are also in the category of exhibits as well, which kind of makes sense that you can have like a smaller sardine amount of animals in like smaller aquariums. And now it's getting a bit spicy here. Either they have found a way to use animals as fully animated animals that can actually navigate in a real habitat and equally act as, well, blown up animatronics that spawn in different positions like the exhibit system in the first game, or the exhibit system has seen a massive overhaul so that they don't have fixed positions anymore and rather more spaces or like fixed areas that they can move along. I thought about that for a while now, and this video, and I'm sorry if this is going longer, if you're not interested, you've clicked away anyway, so that's fine. But with all these images, it came to my, like this specifically over here, got me thinking. The same goes over that one, and the fact that animals seemingly can now navigate pieces so much more precisely would open up a space that in a given exhibit, and you have to just imagine how that worked in the first game, where you click on some of the enrichment items, they would form a certain navigatable mesh. And if the animals would be placed at spawn points in the navigatable mesh, would make them kind of free roaming, even though they're not, if you get the idea. So in an aquarium, by the way, that doesn't make any sense. You don't need to talk about it's like a water volume anyways, with a couple of obstacles in. I think that wouldn't be generally the problem. But like, imagine you have an exhibit in which you have some smaller yet fixed areas to navigate, and especially with branches and tunnels, that could be a really cool system to, like, for example, if you want to have like a chameleon or something like that, that could then climb over some of the given branches. Yes, you can't really customize this yourself, but the animal would feel much more alive if they could always at least go these predefined paths, but then in a free manner, if that makes sense. And if that is the case, and that would be the case with birds, we would have a certain free flying within the given limits of that exhibits, which is a lot cooler than what we've been used to seeing with the walkthrough exhibits, where it kind of seemed like free flying, but then they had all like predefined path. And just imagine now they don't necessarily have predefined path, but they just have different perching points or climbing points, which then can go from A to B to, and like these are fixed, but the path is in between, and the order they go to aren't. So you would get best of both worlds. And I personally think if that is the case, I must call this game already the perfect 10. It's really, if that is the case, I'm like shockingly surprised. I still don't think it is the way, but that is generally my thoughts about all of this at the moment. And again, I think there are hints, and the more I look at this first image here of that little guy holding that paw over that little branch over here, oh my god, what a shot is that. So hopefully you guys found that interesting. Again, it's a bit of a longer video for an animal drop, but I think it was necessary to talk about that. I won't do another kind of speculation video or anything about that unless we have more information. There's so much information coming and so much videos about Planet Zoo 2, I don't need to do more than that video. However, if you're a fan of Frontier Games, I will just say, keep your eyes out on the channel. Tomorrow evening, there's going to be a rather special live stream, and I am going to do a special video on the situation of Planet Coaster 2, which I would highly recommend to check out once it's out. Not only because I'm super proud of it and super proud of the situation, I should say, around Planet Coaster 2, but also because I think it's genuinely a good sign for what is to come with Planet Zoo 2. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support. If you haven't hyped the video yet or haven't been clicking that subscription button, please do so. And if you want to take part in the process of defining my upcoming Planet Zoo 2 series, because I have already announced the name of the series and the setting to my members. You can become a member of the channel, join the Discord sneak peek group, and you be in to decide what's the final logo and what we're doing first, and you can also claim a certain role in that project. That would be fun, so if you want to, you can do just that, and I would be lovely to see you in there, but you can also just chill and relax with us and wait for the big reveal once it's coming anyways. So just enjoy your time. Thank you so much, and bye.